All right, it is that day where we get to know what the direction takes for Cherera 4. Importantly, we also get to understand what the Azimio team is planning, and later on we'll be engaging leaders that sit within the Azimio coalition as we get to understand what really is going to play out. Is it a done deal for Right Honorable Raila Odinga? Or perhaps, like the politician that he is, he will surprise many. A question of wait and see. Karibu sana. We have lots lined up for you right here in the country and beyond. And that's exactly what we'll be looking at as we welcome you to be part and parcel of the conversation. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV 47KE. It is my hope that you had a great night and looking forward to greatness on this 24th day of November 2022. It's a Thursday. How fast the week is moving, and we're here to bring you nothing but the best. We have the papers this morning, and so we'll be looking at them and also taking a look at just what it is that my team has prepared, as well as the gentleman that I'll be having on set will help us decipher on this. And being a Thursday as well, we're going to shift gears and speak to some ladies who are in the construction industry. It will be quite interesting to understand how ladies find it easy to get into this space, and they're doing it to perfection, especially at this point where we have structures going down. We need to understand just how many of specialities or special, entities we have around to manage and to help you set up a nice structure as well. Being a Thursday, we'll be hitting the gym briefly. That is on a Fitness Thursday. So all this up until 9:30 a.m. Kindly be sure to keep it right here. The papers this morning, Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, as well as the People Daily, is what we'll be looking at. The broadcast is Morning Cafe, and my name is Linda Alela. So what do we have on the papers this morning? Definitely the conversation on the IEBC. Are they feeling the heat, the Cherera 4? Well, in fight of their lives, we get to see whether indeed it's that dire and sincerely a fight of their lives. That is at this point where the commissioners who dissented with the chair and the two others, that is during the August polls, are battling for survival as the House hearing for their removal starts today. And yesterday, Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera headed to court, that is to seek more time to reply to the House petitions as captured on page 4. And we'll be looking to see what plays out in relation to that, whether she gets the extra time or not, and whether indeed the House begins and when they get to decide on the fate of this form. Away from it, Mudavadi stamps authority as a senior most Western leader at a point where he called upon the Mulembe Nation leaders to come together for them to speak and perhaps chart the way forward of what is left of the Mulembe Nation. He says, I want us to start talking and engaging each other from all fronts. I want you to know that I am free and available for you. And as we said during the campaigns, this is an open government, and as such, let us be free with each other. And of course, we'll be looking to see what is left of the Mulembe Nation when Oparanya comes out to say that enough is enough of supporting the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the likes of course, the senator. That is at the level of Senate, Edwin Sifuna, arguing that as well, it is important that now the Mulembe Nation charts its way forward as the Mulembe Nation without focusing much on the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who for the longest of time has also been considered as, a kingpin of the Mulembe based on the numerous times they have voted for him. Inside Ruto team's radical CBC option, a couple of proposals that have been presented, and it's a question of decision time. The Presidential Working Party on Education Reform is considering radical changes that could alter the 26333 competency-based curriculum to a new 26243, which could see grade 6 learners remain in their present schools, that is for another 2 years, to ease transition challenges and address the parents' age concerns. A story captured on page 3. We'll be looking at that as we continue with the broadcast. Another big upset as Japan stops Germany. That is at the World Cup level as the games continue. And members of parliament are now calling for probe into about 17 billion payout. That is in relation to questions of corruption. A story captured on page 8 of the Standard newspaper. And the maize scandal with the face of Moses Kuria continues. Ruto allies split on plan to impeach Moses Kuria. Just why is this conversation cropping up this early, and what is the way forward in this conversation of us importing maize and largely transferring to that aspect of GMO? The front page of the Daily Nation. Kenya stares at athletics ban. Well, this will be quite interesting and unfortunate. Doping crisis, top athletes' bodies meeting in Monaco tomorrow. And the government last night declared zero tolerance to doping, with top sports officials racing against time to wriggle the country out of a looming ban against its athletes in international competitions over the rising cases of doping. This is a story captured on page 2 and 3. And so we'll be looking at it and getting to understand just what is the grim picture, what exactly informs this, and what are the chances then that we survive as a country that has been well known and celebrated across the global fraternity as to the matters of, Olympics, athletes. We having the best of the best. Ruto Raila showdown in battle for IEBC's soul. We'll also be looking at that, and the gentlemen that join us this morning will be having 2 members of parliament that would help us decipher on this and perhaps just get to understand as a people whether we need them or not at a time when also the other 3 are supposed to exit the stage by January. Should be the 23rd. Health Ministry recalls HIV drug from patients, and the tablets that had been given to patients are reported to be changing color, and so are the covers of the bottles holding the medicines. This is quite unfortunate and scaring a report, but we certainly hope that it is not something that is alarming. This is a story captured on page 16 of the Daily Nation. And on the economic bit, broke Treasury starts a short-term debt swap, and the Treasury is seeking to swap about 87.8 billion shillings worth of short-term debt with longer-term debt to create breathing space and fund its operations in a tight fiscal environment. That is on the back page. And on the question of drought, children quit school to search for food. This also is quite unfortunate, but as it is, the country is trying its level best to try and manage this. School feeding programs in Turkana are helping to keep learners in class, but when the food runs out, then they have no choice but to scatter and proceed in search of the precious commodities. Do we have the People Daily? Yes, let's check the People Daily this morning and see what it details. Ruto faces revolt in his turf for maize. Well, the government should be sensitive to the plight of the local farmers, as they would say, and suspend the planned importation until the local produce is exhausted. That is according to KFA director. This as the GMO saga continues, and a majority of leaders and farmers in the president's backyard gang up to oppose this planned importation of grains, arguing that the government should instead buy from local growers in a rare rebellion from his traditional political base. That has captured on page 4. As you can evidently see, the man that was once a powerful figure, that is in the Jubilee government, Kinoti men shuffled in a major purge. And we are talking about a story that has been expounded on page 2. Perceived allies of former DCI chief moved to stations outside Nairobi in a shake-up within the security bit, and something that really has not been well welcomed, and others actually as well appreciating that move because it has been seen like it was a rogue or a tight rein when they were their parents' headache of a long holiday, and schools release learners home for 2 months, and like in the past when they have taken short breaks to cover time lost for COVID-19 pandemic. And so they will be around for quite a long time. This even as we have the class 8 and all these other students that are sitting for the examinations, indeed sitting for the same, that is the 844 face out, as well as those ones that are under the competency based curriculum. Indeed, indomitable lions seek to roar in Qatar. That also is a story captured on page 31, and that is the question of football. The World Cup is what everybody else is watching right now, and key figures in the world of sports or in the world of football as well, representing their respective countries, and the world is equally watching to celebrate this historic moment. And yes, you can see the faces of the gentlemen that are against this arrangement by government, that is to proceed and pay, or better yet, to proceed and import maize. The likes of Samson Cherargei, the faces of Ken Lusaka, Didmas Baraza, as well as Abraham Kirwa. This one's hailing from Western region and those regions of Trans Nzoia, or better yet, those regions of Rift Valley, saying that there's plenty and that their farmers are expecting to sell this to the government and to the people of Kenya, and therefore it would be wise for government to consider using this before proceeding to buy or to import maize from outside country. Those are the key stories on the papers this morning. We'll be expounding them further alongside the gentlemen that join me, but as of now, allow us to quickly look at what has been prepared by my editorial team, and that Kenya has signed a deal with the South Korean business community that is on trade and investments. This according to a communication by State House. The deal allows for the South Korean business community to invest in the country.
Among the deals secured are Kenyan shillings 120 billion to support local manufacturing in health, smart city and technical, vocational education and training TVETs. The South Korean government has also given Kenya a grant of Kenya shilling 1.3 billion, which will go into infrastructural development.
The history of Korea's development trajectory has fundamental lessons for Africa's quest to occupy its space in the global economy. Africa appreciates the contribution of the Republic of Korea and the continued commitment of support to Africa's future.
The South Korean government has also agreed to support Sagana Industrial Park that will employ over 10,000 people.
My presence here is to confirm to you Kenya's readiness to engage, to work together, and I'm here to underwrite the opportunities that are available in Kenya and the opportunities that are available in our continent.
Kenyan and South Korean business organization also agreed to prioritize investments that will fast-track the realization of the United Nations UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
Manufacturing sector with the agro-based industries and integrate the comparative advantage into a transformative economic model, and which will lift national economies and raise the welfare of many from the bottom up.
President Ruto's trip is expected to end tomorrow before he jets back to the country. Lucky Uriano reporting for TV47.
Now, poverty levels across the country have continued to affect the 100% transition from primary to secondary policy, as many students remain at home despite completing their primary education. For this very reason, vices such as early pregnancies and drug abuse continue to escalate, with stakeholders now calling for immediate interventions. Our reporter, Paul Muniu, met and spoke with Haron Kitty, a 16-year-old who managed to score 344 marks in KCPE earlier this year, but is yet to join secondary school.
Today we planned an operation to remove the garbages which were acting as hideouts for the thugs being found in the city near Gymkhana. It was organized in such a way that the city council provided the trucks and the shovels to remove the garbage. This is in the wake of the panga boys who are hiding in the city. Whenever they commit a crime, they run up to that place over there. So the council, in conjunction with the police, decided to remove the garbage which were being dumped at the road reserve in front of Gymkhana.
Ndio maana leo tumeamkia huku kufanya shughuli hii, kusafisha sehemu hii na kuhakikisha kwamba, kwa sababu ni mahali palikuwa pametengwa kujengwa barabara, tumezungumza na washikadau kwamba barabara hii pia ipate kufunguliwa.
The security agents are...
All right, a bit of a twist there, but not to worry. The adjustments will be made, and we'll be getting that story by Paul Munio shortly. Now, police officers in Busia County have arrested 2 people accused of sharing information believed to be part of the 2022 KCSE examination. Busia's Deputy County Commissioner Kipchumba Ruto says the 2 are found with instructions for chemistry and physics, biology, practical exams for this year's examination. The 2 are held at Busia police stations as investigations continue.
Buy more good chemicals other areas. Walipatikana wakiwa wamebreach ile instructions manual ya subject ya physics, biology and chemistry practicals, na haikufuata utaratibu ambayo walipewa na National Examination Council. Wote walichukuliwa hatua, walishikwa na polisi, walirekodi statement na leo waliappear. They were arraigned before a court of law, Busia, to face charges for violating the confidentiality of instruction manual, ili zile kanuni za practicals. Na mkasa huu ama shida hii haijaadhiri zile mitihani zingine. So ni center manager na mwalimu wa kemia ambaye ni mwanafunzi wa chuo kikuu. Na center manager na huyo mwalimu ambaye ni mwanafunzi walifungua forum ama tunaita kwa lugha nyingine WhatsApp group, na jina la hilo forum ama WhatsApp group ni 82020 na iko na members 130.
Now, the government of Kenya has been lauded for its peacekeeping efforts around the continent by the American government. In a meeting with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, General Michael Langley, a combatant commander of the United States Africa Command, said it was commendable that Kenya, as an anchor country in the region, was involved in the various ongoing peace processes around the continent. The story was produced by Andrew Juma.
General, good morning. Deputy President, most welcome. The whole world was watching the open and free elections. Was a shining example to the world of how democracy works. The world noticed that. But the cameras didn't fade away after that, because what has happened as I made my trips across the continent, as I've seen some of the things that are going on in the DRC, the challenges there.
And if the West means well for our country and our people,
Absolutely.
we'll continuously engage, because we have the mandate from the Kenyan people to engage friends and people who are supportive of our programs, people who are supportive of our peace and security. And as such, we have no apologies for engaging the West continuously, and we continue doing so now and in the near future. So I really want to thank you for getting time to come and message us.
Thank you.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has moved to High Court in Mombasa to recover over 70 million shillings fraudulently acquired from the Kenya Ports Authority by Anthony Muhanji, a former senior employee of the Kenya Ports Authority. The commission wants the High Court to declare the 78 million Kenya shillings as proceeds of crime, issue restitution orders compelling Mr. Anthony Muhanji and his company to pay the amount to the government of Kenya. Paul Kirobi reports.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission (EACC) has established that a former employee of the Kenya Ports Authority was fraudulently awarded a tender which was applied for using forged documents. Anthony Muhanji, who worked as a project manager at the agency, was also a director of Mukitech Investment Limited and a beneficial owner of the company's bank account. The commission found out that Muhanji had engaged in a conflict of interest contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act No. 3 of 2003, and that he was paid a sum of 78,161,858. After the completion of investigations, the commission is now seeking orders from the court declaring that the 78,161,000 paid by the Kenya Ports Authority to Mukitech Investment Limited was fraudulent and illegally acquired, and therefore the monies are proceeds of crime liable to recovery by EACC. The commission also wants that the recovered amount of 52,191,000 forfeited to the government of Kenya before being released forthwith to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. The commission had gone to court pursuant to Section 53(3) of the Anti-Corruption and Economics Crime that mandates EACC to institute recovery proceedings against any person who does anything that constitutes corruption or economic crime. The commission, through its Lawyer Coast Regional Office in Mombasa, had received an allegation of irregular and fraudulent procurement at the authority before swinging into action. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
All right, leaders from Western Kenya allied to Azimio la Umoja coalition party have rubbished claims of moving to Kenya Kwanza. This comes after the leaders joined other leaders from the Western region in a meeting with Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. Parliamentarians drawn from Vihiga, Kakamega, Busia, Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties, led by a caucus chair who is also Sirisia Member of Parliament Waluke, agreed to bury their political differences and ensure the Western region benefits from the government of the day through development projects. This comes as a section of members of Parliament allied to the Azimio la Umoja coalition are in the move to rally the region behind President William Ruto so as to benefit from it. Government.
Lakini sasa tumefika wakati wa kusema, let us put all that behind us. Let us see what we can do for people together, because your constituents are Kenyans and they are our people.
The key issue or agenda was unity of purpose, unity of the region, so that as we move forward, we should be able to be each other's keeper. We should be able to stand by each other. We should be able to push our development agenda as a region, as a team, irrespective of our political affiliation.
It's just like in Parliament. I'll give you an example of the National Assembly. Whenever you talk about CDF or anything that touches on the welfare of members, members unite irrespective of their political affiliation. And that is what we want to cultivate, so that if we know that in Kenya Kwanza, Luhya community is going to get this, we unite so that we get. And also in Azimio, if we know this is what we are going to get, we also unite and get. Because on the Yala subject, we lost because we did not unite. So that's exactly what we are doing. We are not saying that we are now going to disband Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, no. Because people voted us in these parties. Unless people tell you to move from Azimio.
Now, political cracks in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition are threatening to break up the pillars of the opposition formation few months after the August 9th, 2022 general election. And as our reporter Mike Kagungo tells us, Odinga insists that all is well in Azimio since the last polls were not about him.
3 months after the August polls, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya vessel has started being rocked after waves from members of the coalition parties cropped up. A section of MPs from Western Region has initiated plans to unite the Mulembe community, which has been experiencing political disunity for years.
The community elected leaders will from today speak in one voice irrespective of party affiliations. That the Azimio coalition has not accommodated the Luhya community in the House leadership of both the Senate and the National Assembly.
Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, who doubles up as ODM Party Secretary General, maintains that no one has been forced to remain in Azimio, adding that anyone or any party is free to leave the coalition. He, however, says members of each member party have a right to partake of fruits put on the Azimio table.
If you look at the leadership of Parliament in its entirety, from the National Assembly to the Senate, all the positions were given out in the Azimio coalition to people from other regions. It is as if we are being told that we are not leaders. Some of us have led even serious political parties for the first 5 years. Then a political party that has membership of almost 5 million people.
I've just read. Thank you.
Western MPs claim to be looked down upon in Azimio, leading to divisions.
The Luhya community was shortchanged in the East African Legislative Assembly elections by both the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio coalitions. Out of 9 positions, is only the Luhya community that doesn't have a single position in the Yala.
What is good for Honorable Aisha Jumwa and Mithika Linturi must be good for Honorable Waluke. I think Waluke's only crime is that he's a Luhya. Because we don't see any amnesty being extended to people from Western Kenya. So we are saying that if indeed it was okay for the charges against other people to be dropped, then it must be okay for the charges against Honorable Waluke to be dropped as well.
The selection of members of the Parliamentary Service Commission has also caused disgruntlement, with the legislators claiming to have been elbowed out of PSC's positions. They also claim that the jailing of Waluke was a politically instigated incarceration aimed at demeaning the Mulembe community. The lawmaker said that Raila betrayed the community by excluding its leaders from both the minority leadership in both the Senate and the National Assembly.
The Azimio coalition acted dishonestly in proposing names to the Parliamentary Service Commission by not including the name of Honorable John Waluke in the list, well aware that he had received a letter nominating him from the Jubilee Party. Unable to stream.
Former Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya is reportedly done supporting Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga's political ambitions. Oparanya stated that he has now decided to focus his political tactics and influence in solidifying the Western region that is split in every election cycle.
The Azimio coalition takes remedial action in House leadership position by being inclusive.
If you are telling me that Sifuna cannot be the leader of only 20 people in the Senate, what are you telling me? If I can be a leader of a party of 5 million people, how can I not be able to lead 20 people in the Senate?
However, Odinga insists that all is well in Azimio. He says if there are any issues, they can be settled amicably.
Nothing in Azimio at all. It's a storm in a teacup. Okay? So don't believe it. Azimio is as strong as it ever was. It was never about Raila Odinga. Azimio is a movement that has brought several political parties together. They share certain ideology and a common vision, what Azimio want to do, and you saw our manifesto. So it is not about Raila. It was not meant to reward Raila. But as you know, we have said that we never lost the election.
He is expected to meet Azimio One Kenya leaders anytime this week to try and iron out the issues raised by Western MPs in a bid to save the Azimio ship before it probably sinks. Mike, GOtv 47, Nairobi.
Well, those two stories, that one and the one that we played before 8, will be forming the basis of our conversation this morning as we seek to understand just what is the fate of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance. And away from it, besieged IEBC Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera and Commissioner Irene Masit are fighting back, hoping to stop the National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee from hearing 4 petitions that want them and 2 of their colleagues removed from office. Masit's preliminary objection comes just hours before the committee commences hearing the petition on Thursday, with a section of the committee members raising queries over the hearing process.
The hearing of the petition to remove the 4 IEBC commissioners is expected to kick off tomorrow. This is as Vice Chair Juliana Cherera and Commissioner Irene Masit fight back. Masit, in her letter to the Clerk of the National Assembly, says that the committee lacks jurisdiction to handle the matter.
Honourable members,
the commissioner further states the petitions are politically motivated, biased, hearsays, gossips and empty, thus lack support by exit nor document or evidence. Through her lawyer Donald Kipkoril, Masit warns all 4 petitions against her struck out on grounds that they do not demonstrate any gross misconduct, incompetence or serious violations of the Constitution on our part.
Clearly see that there's a bigger figure looming large behind it. And the reason is very simple, is that people have begun planning for the next election. So we think someone is trying to take charge of IEBC in the next election, whereby he wants to have 100% control. 100% control in this election and appointments.
The petitioners Geoffrey Langat, Steve Jerry, Dennis Ndumpi and the Republican Liberty Party want the 4 dissenting IEBC commissioners removed from office for gross misconduct and violation of the Constitution.
A criminal act never elapses in law. It doesn't matter how long it will be. But the long hand of justice will soon catch up with these people. Corruption, given another name called foreign trips, will not be accepted. And we also ask the Kenya Kwanza government, where these people are finding their head hiding under their bed, to come out and call this for what it is, that is corruption.
Article 251 of the Constitution states that the Parliament will consider the petition and, if certified, the Speaker will send it to President to form a tribunal to investigate the commissioners. In the event the tribunal is formed, the concerned commissioners will be suspended and paid half salary. Pending the conclusion of the inquiry, the President will have at least 30 days to act on the report after the tribunal makes its recommendation to him. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga is expected to address the media on the plight of the 4 descending commissioners just before the probe begins. IEBC commissioners are expected from tomorrow to lay their case before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, even as the process to kick off the 4 starts officially. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Pan Biddings, Nairobi.
That's a comprehensive, of course, report by Elizabeth Mutuko. And to make it so clear is that all this is expected to run today and therefore developing story. Elizabeth, again, will be giving you more updates as to the same. Now, Cabinet Secretary of Trade Moses Kuria has been cautioned by senators against issuing an official gazette notice on importing maize in the country duty-free until all the maize is purchased by NCPB. In a motion tabled by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, the senators have poked holes on the move to import 10 million bags of maize, even as farmers continue with their harvest, as Stanley Nyaringita reports.
The debate on the decision by CS Trade Moses Kuria to import 10 million bags of GMO maize is still rife across the political divide, with senators poking holes on the reason behind the rush to import the maize despite a bumper harvest from maize farmers, according to the Agriculture Ministry.
You ask yourself the big question. The harvesting is going on right now. In fact, we find a lot of lorries now ferrying maize from Uasin Gishu to other places. So you ask yourself, what really informed the decision to import maize now?
In a statement tabled by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, Kuria has been cautioned against releasing the Gazette notice of the importation of the maize until the National Cereals and Produce Board (NCPB) purchases all the maize from the farmers. According to the senators, the government should establish a strategic grain reserve in the country that will shield farmers and consumers from the maize shortage.
Commend that the Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Investment and Industry does not gazette the notice allowing duty-free maize importation from outside the country until the entire crop being harvested currently is purchased by National Cereals and Produce Board, local millers, and National Strategic Grain Reserve. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for that indulgence.
This even as the Council of Governors Agriculture Committee called for consultative meeting between them and the two ministries of Agriculture and Trade. In a press briefing Wednesday, Bungoma County boss told Kuria that the move to import maize will impoverish farmers.
We urge the national government through the National Cereals and Produce Board to make available resources to purchase all maize held by farmers before any importation is granted.
In the spirit of embracing devolution, the COG Agriculture Committee Chair Ken Lusaka has noted that governors should also be included in the talks of the GMO and the maize prices.
Tuwe na suluhu ya kuweza kutatua shida ambayo imekuwa. Kwamba tusije tunapata kwamba pengine serikali kuu inachukua decision fulani bila kuhusisha county governments ama county of governors, na tunajua kwamba masuala mengi haya yamegatuliwa.
Members of the clergy in Elgeyo Marakwet have also weighed in on the matter, saying the government needs to involve the public on the effects of the GMO before selling it to Kenyans.
Serikali kabisa watakapofanya tahadhari zilizo sawasawa. Kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya iko na uwezo. Wacha wamalize kwanza ile uwezo ambaye tuko nayo, kabla hawajaenda kutafuta vitu ya shortcut ana vitu ya haraka ambaye pia inaweza kuwa ya kwamba inahatarisha usalama ya mioyo ya watu wetu, kwa sababu kama watu hawana amani, hata kila ambacho watakachopokea hata kama itakuwa nzuri tayari itaadhiri maisha yao.
Stanley Nyiringita, TV47, Nairobi.
Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu says it is all systems go as candidates prepare to sit for their national examinations Monday. The CS who toured Wajir County, flanked by NEC CEO, that is Dr. David Jagere, and KIST CEO, that is Professor Charles Ongondo, urged the students who are set to sit for their Form 4 examinations to work hard in their studies. In a separate meeting with education stakeholders in the county, Machogu noted that the ministry, through the TSC, has ensured center managers, supervisors and invigilators involved in management of the 2022 national examinations have been identified, vetted and deployed by the Commission to all centers countrywide in readiness for examinations administration. The CS also paid a courtesy call to Wajir County Commissioner Jacob Nerengo and the administration officers on matters delivery of the upcoming national examinations.
For the laboratory, we want you to start preparing the architectural drawings and also the PQ, which you will be able to submit to my office, so that immediately we get the funds, Mheshimiwa, the laboratory, because we will partner with Mheshimiwa. Yes. Mheshimiwa, when he also gets his CDF funds, yes, he will be able to do something. But as a ministry, I promise you, we are going to build a laboratory.
9 police officers from the disbanded Special Service units who have been in custody for the last 32 days are now calling on Inspector General of Police to ensure a court order requiring them to undergo DNA examinations is obeyed through their lawyers. They claim to investigate or no investigations had commenced in relation to abduction of 2 Indians and their taxi driver. They further claim there is an attempt to have them taken to government chemist for DNA tests, contrary to order issued by Chief Magistrate Court Mayo Aranga.
We wrote to the Internal Affairs Unit requesting to know the progress they have made now that we are drawing close to the end of the 30 days that they had sought. Interestingly, to date, the Internal Affairs Unit who are investigating this matter are yet to escort our clients to the National Forensics Lab at the DCI headquarters. What is worrying, therefore, is that we have rumors that they are of a different opinion, which is actually digressing out of the particulars and with specificity as per the Honorable Court's orders. Therefore, we have reminded the Internal Affairs that come the 1st of December 2022, when we shall be appearing before the court that issued the said orders, we shall be vehemently opposed to any application for extension. These are for the simple reason that for you to curtail or limit a person's human right, that's the right to liberty, that limitation has to be justifiable. Therefore, they have had over 1 month to date. They are yet to escort our clients to the laboratory as ordered by court. We want to indeed again remind the Internal Affairs Unit that the public is extremely eager to get the result and outcome of what has happened from the forensic examination. Therefore, they should not hold the entire nation at ransom for the simple reason that these were officers who were highly trained in the Special Service Unit and who didn't have any jurisdiction in terms of how they work. So these are officers who are supposed to serve the entire nation. Therefore, we expect the Internal Affairs Unit and with the advice of the ODPP to quickly and promptly proceed to comply with the court orders.
And youth groups in Taita Taveta have started a mass tree planting exercise in all Taita Taveta mountains and water catchment areas during this rainy season, as they encourage Kenyans to embrace the same in order to curb drought that has struck various parts of the country. According to them, they are planting indigenous trees which do well in that climate as they gear up to increasing the forest cover. Taita Taveta County has faced illegal logging and charcoal burning, which has affected the conservation efforts. At the end of the exercise, they are anticipating to have planted over 500 trees.
Misitu ya Taita imeletwa na mambo ya moto. Kila wakati karibu kila misitu inachomeka. Nadhani nashukuru this time yale ndio haijachomeka, lakini hizo misitu mingine kama Mwambirwa ilichomeka, kuna Chawia ilichomeka, na Kinyeshamvua pia ilichomeka, Mbololo ambayo pia kwa muda mrefu haijachomeka, this time ilichomeka.
Ni katika kila chanzo cha mlima Taita Taveta. Tumeanza Iyale, tutaenda Vuria, tutaenda Susu, tutaenda Vesu, tutaenda Ngangao, tutaenda Mwambirwa, tutaenda Mbololo, tutaenda Kasigau. Kila mahali kwenye chanzo ya mito inaanza Taita Taveta.
Objective is actually to bring in all the young people to come in and build up the environment, because given that the population of the youth in the world, in Africa we have the largest number of youth than any other continent in the world. So bring out in the youth in this initiative gives them the hope for the future.
Change. Tunaomba serikali ya county government ipate kusaidia in that area in allocating money and budget, especially kusaidia our community forest association members. And then kitu ingine, the MCAs should come up with the legislation kwa county assembly, sheria ambazo zinalenga kuhifadhi mazingira.
All right, and at this very time, we get to shift as we take a quick short break. I already have the Member of Parliament of Kitui Central, that is Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, with us in studio, and equally Honorable Martin Wanyonyi, Member of Parliament of Webuye East, as we await to get a hold of Honorable Philip Kisia, who is a leadership and governance expert and also former town clerk of Nairobi. At this very point, allow us to take a quick short breather. A couple of those stories that we have touched on will be forming the basis of our conversation, and that is what we'll be doing. So don't you go anywhere, but as well keep talking to us. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. I sampled some of these comments as we continue with the broadcast after this break.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
All right. right, and we are all systems go, or we are set, yes, to get to the conversation. And as Alia mentioned, we already have Mheshimiwa Philip Kisia with us in studio, and as well as Honorable Martin Wanyonyi and Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu for us to get into this very, very important conversation. Gentlemen, I am glad that we have faces that sort of represent this conversation of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, and whether it's a break or a make at this very point. And so we'll be getting to that shortly, but not before we get the views of this very gentleman, noble gentleman for that matter, as to other matters that are taking center stage in the world of news. The Cherera 4 is one of the conversations that we do not run away from. I don't know whether we talk about the GMO conversation. We still are on here. We have done it for the better part of the last week and all that, but I know it will be in the best interest of Honorable Martin Wanyonyi to perhaps mention something small about the same. And we see a different face of Parliament. Would have expected that the Kenya Kwanza side would be speaking, to a point of alluding to the fact that perhaps we need to, just import this maize. But as it is, there is a section of it that argues this is not the direction to go. And it gets me asking myself, just what is the problem with this maize that we speak of? Is it the fact that it is not safe? Is it the fact that it's coming in when we have farmers who can supply some more until we now get to a point where we might need more? Or is it the question of the fact that it comes in as a donation, as others would argue, or it is coming in from the taxpayer's pocket? Just what exactly is the main problem, Mheshimiwa?
Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you for inviting me again here. I think for us, as what CS Honorable Kuria said, to be honest, actually that's not our government position. I think for us, many of us think that was his own individual position.
This is a CS we're talking about.
We campaigned based on a plan. We campaigned to support our entrepreneurs, to support our farmers, and that's why even the president himself has been very clear in terms of shifting from supporting consumption subsidies to investing more in production services. That's why it's what Honorable Kuria said was a contradiction of what we stand for. And that's why I think many of us as Kenya Kwanza and as government, we oppose the importation of GMOs now, especially at the time when we are harvesting. I come from Bungoma County, where farmers are now harvesting their maize. So we really believe that the timing was not right, and even the decision was not right. So I think really we oppose it, and we want to still call upon government to take advantage of what we are harvesting now, so that I think in the next few months we can now see where is the shortage. So if we have to import, we import based on the shortage, not based on what Kuria is saying, that we have so many things that are killing Kenya. So bringing in GMOs is not a problem. So I think really that cannot be the direction.
And we ask ourselves those questions that I have just highlighted. But just who is Moses Kuria, and how then can we say that is not the position of the government, a CS for trade, to be honest, part and parcel of the executive? Can we really say that that is not the government speaking? The president has not come out to dispute that. It is only members of parliament, few of them that are allied to the Kenya Kwanza side, that would appear to be against it, backed by those ones under Azimio side. Can we confidently say that that is not the government speaking, when we know very well that the ship has docked, and of course with this maize, and we now say that that is not the government?
I think, Linda, Kuria has never been a CS before.
Yes.
And so I think it's still an orientation. So for me, I think he has not really appreciated.
Honorable Kisia, until when? Until when? Because Kenyans equally, honestly.
Linda, thank you very much for inviting me here this morning, and I'm happy to meet my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
I think it's important that I make that pronouncement in these early stages, and of course I'm happy to meet Mulu. You see, Mheshimiwa, I'm constrained to make my statement or in my comment because Honorable Kuria is a personal friend, And at one point, he was my party leader.
Yes.
So I'm conflicted. There was a time, until
the UDA side.
The government, when you people on one side, the current president and the former president, when they blocked me from becoming the governor of this city through Korea's party. But that, as it may be, I just wanted to make it clear that Honorable Korea is a personal friend, somebody I know very well, so I'm constrained. But however, the matters that we are talking about are weighty. You can't just wish them under the carpet. We can't wash them under the carpet, sweep them under the carpet. Because the person who has made that pronouncement is a person who has been appointed by the head of state, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Arap Samoei Ruto. And there are only 22 in the cabinet. So I believe that the president went for the best. I believe that the president went for people who have experience in public service, in politics, in management. And therefore, you can't say, Mheshimiwa, that a minister, a cabinet minister, can make such a weighty policy statement for the sake of it. This is a matter, in fact, Mheshimiwa, you should be talking about this more eloquently than myself. It touches on the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear that anything that will affect the people of the Republic of Kenya, there must be public participation. This is a weighty matter. It's about the stomach, our stomachs, the hustler. And there are doses like my brother-in-law here and Mheshimiwa Moli Daktari. It touches on all of us. And therefore, just making a sweeping statement, I think, was most unfortunate. I know there are many things that are killing Kenyans, but we will not allow another, another avenue to be opened to kill more Kenyans. Okay? Even if you are poor. And Mheshimiwa, from where you come from, they normally say that, I would rather walk naked than kneel before a man. So yes. So even if it's a donation, this country has the capacity to say no. Now let me say this. Other than just being a constitutional matter that needs to have been properly interrogated, where was the public participation? And as Mheshimiwa said, those of us who come from the maize-going zones or regions, the reports we're getting is that we're going to have a bumper harvest. Even if we were to import that maize that is consumed by horses in Europe, even if you are to import it, is this the time to import? And when and where did the cabinet sit down, to make that resolution? I am aware that they have only had, I think, 2 cabinet meetings. The cabinet that was there before would not have made such a weighted decision because it was a cabinet that was transiting. They had already prepared the handover notes. So you cannot hide under that cabinet to make such a weighty decision. And therefore, that statement is dishonest. Mheshimiwa can't tell me that the government is not aware. Mheshimiwa can't tell me that my good friend, the President of the Republic of Kenya, has not heard that statement. We've been waiting keenly to hear him, call Ruto out for who he is and to issue very, very warnings that you cannot make jokes when it comes to the lives of any human being. We are not animals. Even an animal, Mheshimiwa, even you know how we value animals. I don't think that we'll feed our animals, our cows, with poison. Even if they're animals, they can't speak to you. But we cannot be that inhumane, to arrive at such a decision. So therefore, I think that having said, Mheshimiwa, your house needs to be put in order. Let us have a conversation about this GMO. And if Kenyans so decide, so be it. But it cannot be a one-man decision. It cannot even be a cabinet decision. This is a matter that is affecting the people of Kenya. All right? So please, Mheshimiwa, put your house in order.
All right, and as they try to put their house in order, we ask these pertinent questions, the ones that I have asked, and perhaps asking ourselves whether there are specific rules to protect the consumer against these produces, of course, that will be considered as a GMO. But the maize, today it's on the newspapers that there are plans to do this. The next day, the ship is docking, and we ask ourselves, just what are the processes that go into making such agreements, into allowing for the country to receive such produce, whether it is in form of donation or it is produce that has been bought by the government itself, because it happened so fast.
Anyway, Linda, good morning and good morning, viewers. It's good that you are hosting us with my colleagues here. Linda, the GMO discourse has actually taken the whole of this week in terms of debate. And I've listened to the debate in terms of the pros and the cons of the GMOs. Scientifically, some justification is being pushed forward. When you listen, it makes sense. But the issues through also social issues and also economic issues. And I think what is happening, and I've listened to my colleague Wanyonyi, this is a government which the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is holding. And I think it is time.
Politically, that's correct.
I think the statement, what is coming out to the public is telling us that, where I come from, at times we use parables to communicate that you don't have to call it a spade, you can call it something else. But the thing is, when you look at what is happening, I think there's a disconnect in terms of policy.
Right.
GMOs would ordinarily fall under Ministry of Agriculture.
And not
trade.
Yes.
When you look at the papers today, the Minister of Agriculture is saying we have not recommended importation of any maize. Yesterday, you had the KPA confirming they have a ship which has docked with maize. As to whether the maize is GMO or no more maize, they could not assert that.
Yes.
The other side, Korea is saying we can add GMOs to other things which cause Kenyans to die. So it should just be among the other things. So to me, the way I look at it is, scientifically, GMOs could make sense. And I think what Kenyans are not being told is, for example, in our area, we grow a lot of cotton. And I think cotton has been seen as one of the products which could be which you could easily go that direction and make a lot of sense. The good thing is that is not for human use, human consumption. I think what Kenyans have a problem with is where we are being told we are getting maize which is going to go to our bodies, and we are not sure of what it will do to our bodies. That's where the concern is. And the government should come out clear and tell Kenyans, we have GMOs already in the country. For your information, you might have eaten a lot of GMOs without your knowledge. In the supermarkets, most of the oranges and the eggs we are eating.
They're too beautiful and big.
I don't know that they have been labeled, but more likely you will find they are GMO products. But I think what we are doing is, what is lacking from where I sit is what we call public participation. Kenyans are in darkness in terms of information. They have not been given the right information to make a decision as to whether you can choose to eat GMO or not. And I think that's where our quality and assurance organizations have failed us in terms of sensitizing the mwananchi to know really what needs to be done. So for me, what I would think is, because like the three issues which have been raised, which I think make sense to me, is the issue of the seeds.
Right.
If we go the GMO direction, it is being said that scientifically it has been confirmed that GMO seeds cannot be used. Once you grow and you harvest, you can't use the harvest to plant again. So it's like Kenyans are asking, that means we will be relying purely on the supply of the seeds year in, year out, anytime we are planting season. Now, the unfortunate bit is the supply of that seed is not a Kenyan. It's somebody out there in America or in another place. So it means as a country, we are going to hand over supply of seeds purely to a foreign country. Now, what would happen if one day they don't supply Kenya? The issue of food deficit then comes out very, very strongly.
Right.
The other issue is the issues of people are saying GMOs in the long run contribute to serious diseases like cancer, which has become a major killer in this country. And while some people are saying this is not true, then others are saying it's true. So to me, I think as a government, there is need to do away with that doubt. And I remember my colleague, Honorable Nyikalo, who is a medical person, said something which was, to me, was very attractive. He said, where you are not sure from a medical perspective, you leave it out.
Okay.
So that means because there are Kenyans who are saying we are not sure whether it can cause cancer, the others saying it can cause cancer. So with that doubt, then it means this is not the right time to introduce it. Maybe we need to take a longer time to sensitize the public and convince them that there's nothing wrong with GMOs. The third point, which is critical, and this is what I think now, that's why what me and Maura and the Kesias of this world who are seated here today, we are concerned. We have been told that we'll be importing GMO. Within 2 days, we have a ship in Mombasa. So the question is, have we done away with the cartels? Or are we back to cartel business again? Because I remember when the president was in Meru, he said, leave the cartels to me.
Right.
You remember he said that?
Yes, he did.
That was a public statement.
Yes.
So the question is, have we left the cartels to him, and then he's managing the cartels so that by the time he's pronounced and being made by his minister,
already
there's a ship in Mombasa. So these are the questions. To me, these are the fundamental questions which the government should come out clearly and educate Kenyans on them. Because once you clear that doubt, then automatically we'll be able to say bring GMO or we don't bring.
Yeah.
But you have seen, and I think this is now what Kesia said, Honorable Kesia said this, the issue of currently from the projections, Rift Valley are saying we have enough maize. Western Kenya are saying we have enough maize for this country. We can feed the nation. So why are we voting?
And why are we starving in it?
And we are saying we want to support our own farmers to grow the economy. So why are we voting? That's the question. And to me, that's the gap. And that's what you see for the first time, even Kenya Kwanza themselves, the MPs, are not with the president and his minister. Yes. They are not. They said we are not going to have any importation of maize until our own maize is.
But the irony of it all as well is the fact that while members of parliament from Trans Nzoia, from Western region would argue that there's silos for us to, at least feed the people of Kenya, we have hundreds and millions of Kenyans that are starving. So just what exactly is this?
I think, Linda, of course, we are now harvesting our maize. And I think, as Mheshimiwa said, my in-law, this time around, I think we're expecting a BAMBA harvest as a region, Trans Nzoia, Rift Valley, and Western. So, of course, I think, to be honest, the reason why even many of us are opposing this is really the same questions that and concerns that two honorable members have raised. The issue of public participation, as stipulated under Article 10, that for anything to be done to the people of Kenya, to Kenyans, there must be public participation and proper public participation. It has not been done. The issue of suitability of this maize, when you read our own Constitution Article 43, it obligates government to provide food to Kenyans, but again, that food should be food that is secure. So you realize that the issue of timing also is there. Kenya Kwanza, we campaign based on supporting our own farmers and supporting production. That importation of GMO goes against that. So I think really it's on the basis of these questions that we are raising our own, we are opposing this and saying that this is suspect and this probably is not supported by the president. Of course, we are happy that the president is out. We are hoping that immediately he'll get back. He'll be able to speak on this and give clear government position on the GMO. But of course, I think the way you are saying, why are we having a huge harvest in Western and the areas that people are dying out of hunger? That's true. And of course, again, all that is just because of governance and people not really doing what they're supposed to do. If this maize could have been bought and it's safe in our warehouses, well coordinated, I think really we could not be in the situation that we are having in. So I think still it's the issue of governance. Yeah, and somebody somewhere is sleeping on the job, somebody somewhere is not doing what he's supposed to do. So I think we are hoping that in the near few weeks and months, we are going to ensure that there's proper coordination so that we don't really have Kenyans dying out of anger, and there are people with maize in their own houses. Yeah.
Honorable Philip Kisia here is a governance and management expert. As you weigh in, Mheshimiwa, it is obvious that once you get into the space of governance, you look at the troubles that bedevil the people you're governing, you look at long-term solutions, you look at short-term solutions, you look at remedies that can come in as you try and work on the long-term solutions. And perhaps this is what the Kenya Kwanza government is doing. But what will it do to the promises that they set to the people, to the beautiful manifesto that hugely spoke about agriculture and how to enhance the same, to the livelihoods of these numerous Kenyans that are looking up to the government to offer governance, and not just governance, but governance that indeed will take or will steer the country to the right direction?
Linda, you know, I think the government of the Republic of Kenya, and we are all Kenyans, as my brothers have said, and especially Honorable Mulu, is a government that is speaking from two sides of the mouth.
Yeah.
The left side is saying there's no maize. We've not made that order. The right side of the mouth is saying, yeah, the maize is indeed here.
Yeah.
And not just the maize, but the GMO maize.
Right.
So you wonder whether it is the same government or two different governments. But from a government perspective, you know, importation is a process. By the time you're placing an order, by the time that goods are inspected at the port of dispatch, by the time they get here, you need about maybe 6, even if it's an emergency, maybe 8 weeks. Okay? When was that decision made? Because this government just took over about 2 months ago. Is it the previous regime that started the process, and the cartels who were supposed to be dismantled are still there, and we have joined the gravy?
Okay.
Yeah? These are, you know, KPA has confirmed to the public that the maize is indeed here. Therefore, by the time that pronouncement was being made that we are going to import, the ship was probably about 30 miles to the port. It was just somewhere in the high seas, waiting for the announcement to be made and then the docking. Okay? Because otherwise it would have taken this maize that we've imported, should have been here probably end of December. Now, this is the same government, our government, which had promised farmers that they will do something to ensure that we have food security. Now, if the shortfall, if any, is projected, it is short term, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be short term. And therefore, if it is short term, and the government is, was elected on the premise that they will ensure that we have food security, why then introduce a crop that Kenyans have doubts with? Why not use that time to ensure that we have food sufficient? Okay? Because like maize, in some regions, we have 2 crops in any calendar year. Okay? And we don't need magic to ensure that our productivity increases over a period of 1, 2, 3 years. Okay? And even if there's a shortfall projected, why not import from safe zones?
Okay.
Like Zambia. Do we have maize in Zambia? Maybe, I don't know. Even near Uganda,
right,
and so on and so forth. Don't we have alternatives? Or is it, are we, in fact, if it is free, then we have not imported.
Yes.
You've just been donated. You can't say we've imported.
Yeah.
So we most likely are paying for that maize.
Okay.
And therefore, I think the government, by now, because we can't wait. When you talk about human life, you cannot wait. Mheshimiwa says that we wait for His Excellency to come back. He is still the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Yeah.
In his absence, he can actually direct the Deputy President to issue a statement on behalf of government. So we can't wait. You want our people to die in millions?
As we wait.
As we wait for His Excellency to come back? Oh, come on, give us a break.
There is a problem, gentlemen. I think we shelve that one. Perhaps a break as we wait to see what direction that the country will get. You know, Moses Kuria has made headlines for the better part of the day. And instead of maize, most of the times you open the papers and you realize that its face or his face is actually what is there. And today, too, he has been lucky enough to make the headlines. He had decided that maybe he's not going to apologize, even as many have spoken of him apologizing. An impeachment conversation is what at this very early stage?
You know, Linda, some of us have been Moses in Parliament for 10.
And you also agree that maybe he just was making a joke.
And by the way, he's a very diligent man.
He is.
Anytime you sit down and listen to him, but I think when he talks, something always goes wrong, and I think that's him. I don't expect him to change much. I've recommended that he be taken for induction on how our CS should conduct himself.
Yeah.
But he's a typical politician. I think what is happening is in between there now. He's not really switched from a politician to a CS. You know, a politician, as we talk anywhere and we say what we want, we don't care who will listen to us. But you know, as a CS, there's what is called a collective responsibility. And what collective responsibility calls for, or what it demands, is by the time you talk, a lot of consultation will have taken place. You'll have taken a common position, because anytime a CS talks, you are giving the government position in terms of policy. You are saying, this is the government policy on this particular matter. Now, I think what the initial 3-4 weeks we could understand, because you could hear most of them actually meant some mistakes by the way they were speaking. It's like you could see they are not consulted. Some are settling down, but I think it might take longer for my friend Moses to settle. I don't know whether I've seen something in the social media. I don't know whether it's saying it looks like everything in this country, the problems have been associated with me, and I'm not going to comment.
I'm telling you, all the papers this week.
So I can tell you for sure, this is a gentleman who will take a bit of time to settle. But I'm sure when he settles, you'll see a different.
He would surprise us.
He has very good ideas, very innovative ideas. He only just be called to order. That the president needs to call his team to order. That now you guys are no longer politicians. Actually, we are very happy that he was able to push most of the majority of his team to be politicians. I want to give you a very simple example, Linda. The other day, we wanted to go and see the Minister for Education, the CS Education. And you know, one of our colleagues just called from Parliament that we are here, we want to come and see you. And in 15 minutes, we were in his office talking. So this is what we want, people who appreciate what it takes to represent people, because we represent people. When I go to any ministry, I don't talk about myself. I talk about Kitui Central, which has over 7,000 voters. So we want people who appreciate the work. And that's what I'm saying. Once these people settle, it is going to be fine. It's not now that they're having that problem to change from politician to a CS. But as you said, I think let's just allow Moses a bit of time. Let him cool, and because to me what they are not really picking, and I think that's what they need to internalize, is the issue of collective responsibility. And then time as CS talks, you don't talk from a personal perspective, you give a government policy. That's why you see you need to consult your peers, who will be advised by other technical directors under him, so that the decision has really been taken through a structured way, so that by the time you talk about the decision, Minister of Agriculture will have been involved in terms of what deficit is there. Because now you see, we are talking a lot as Kenyans, but really, we don't have the data.
We don't.
What we call evidence-informed, pronouncements. So that now, if you ask anybody, how many bags of maize do we have in the country? How many are we expecting from the BAMBA zones, like where our colleagues come from? And what is the gap? Because we should now be addressing the gap, saying, once we harvest all the maize from Rift Valley and from Western Kenya, and what we have in the country today, we have a gap of about 10,000 tons. So that we are, the 10,000 tons we are talking about in Mombasa is informed by some research, which will have been done by the Monitoring and Evaluation Department in the Ministry of Agriculture. Because we have our own ministry which monitors what is happening in the country. So that's what I was saying. You can see the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So we just need to allow them settle, so that we start getting government statements. What we are getting are now individual statements. And a government statement should be well researched, so that when it goes out there, you don't embarrass They are appointing others. Now you can say they are embarrassing the president. What we have seen is serious embarrassment to the president. That people asking, is this the government we expected when we voted? I've actually had people saying, this one might even not be able to last a year. I don't know.
Well, we can only give them time. We can only give them. But really, the atmosphere.
When you tell us whether they will last a year.
Do you last a year? I mean, you have mentioned that the CS for education also he had his fair share of backlash. Yes, and of course we have seen the majority leader as well at the level of the House being castigated for appearing to be a little bit, tough on the other side, or the members, of course, within the very party. We've seen Moses Kuria, we've seen the Deputy President himself. We can only hope that indeed you're given that time to last and that you last. Of course, the CBC team is working hard to make sure that they present a proper report and lots of adjustments and proposals, as we can see right now. Perhaps that should be a conversation for another day. But do you suppose that we should maintain the Cherera 4, or genuinely, on basis of what played out and on basis of that ruling by the Supreme Court and where it is that we are as to the question of elections and how we get bodies and individuals that are good and formidable enough to run this commission? Do you think this 4, alongside the others that are supposed to exit in January, should as well proceed home?
I think the two commissioners, I think one, they are Kenyans and we respect them. But what is happening in the parliament now is what is provided, and the Kenyans themselves gave themselves. When you read Article 119 of the Constitution, every Kenyan has a right to petition Parliament on any matter that he or she thinks needs to be enacted in law, amended, or even appealed, as long as it's within the purview and the authority of Parliament. So I think the 3 petitioners, I think there are 3 or 4, whatever action they have taken is really what the law provides for them to do, and it's within their right. Article 251 again, it also provides the procedure of removal of any commissioner. So I think so far, really what's happening is constitutional, but I think we also see it, the 4 commissioners, their action during an election spoke to what we Kenyans ourselves, again, gave ourselves in Chapter 6 of the Constitution. The action, for me, violated the very provision of Chapter 6 in terms of holding your office with dignity, respecting the office you're holding, and protecting it. I think really the action spoke so much on the very fundamental of the Constitution. So I think we want to allow, being a member of the National Assembly, I don't want to really speak so much on this because we need to allow the primary committee handling this, JLAC, to do their work and give us a report. I think so we'll speak more from the report and the findings of our mother committee, the JLAC committee of the House.
Yes, we keep saying that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries, is it Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission?
Commission.
And generally, the electoral bodies across the African continent, I do not know whether they're jinxed or not, but you find that most of the citizens, most of the electorates are not confident with these bodies or the individuals that have been placed there. Honorable Philip Kisia, should we say that it would be fair to allow these 4 to proceed home, or it was within their democratic space for them to make such utterances? We thank God that really the country did not plunge into a state of anarchy or disaster, but as it were, these were clear ways of getting the country into such a space. Was it in order for us to go through this? Was it in order for them to take that direction? Was it really an uphold of democracy?
Linda, as my brother-in-law said, I think the 4 are Kenyans. And I'm happy that the due process be taking place. And that whatever actions that they made during that time, the election time, if they are really right, that they will not be punished for making the right decisions. So I'm hoping that the JLAC team will prosecute this matter in a very professional way, non-partisan for that matter, okay? Because if we prosecute the matter in a partisan manner, the outcome will not be accepted by Kenyans. So we are waiting for an outcome that is fair from that team and from Parliament. But let me talk a little bit about my view about IEBC, at least this particular one. And this is my honest view. And I will say it as it is. Just my view. This particular team, the entire team, did not inspire me. I don't know that it inspired other Kenyans, but it did not inspire. It did not give me confidence. They actually didn't, at any particular stage, the entire team, they did not give any indication that they knew what they were doing, leave alone just playing as a team. This commission is supposed to be independent. In my view, I think they were being remotely controlled by other forces that were not within the commission. And from both sides.
Both sides.
From both sides.
And also within the commission.
Okay? No, forget about the commission. The commission is supposed to be one unit.
Yes, but...
that is led by a chairperson. Okay? But when you have interferences, and from both sides, from Azimio side, I think there was some level of interference, and even from the Kenya Kwanza side, there was some level of interference. So the question that we should be asking ourselves is that, did we get the right commission? Did we get it right in the first place? What is the job analysis of anybody who eventually finds himself or herself in such a commission? Is that the best that we could get from Kenyans? Or did we just put in puppets so that we are able to control them from you know, when you are given such a job, it's a weighty job. And you're supposed to do it independently. You're not supposed to listen to other forces other than the commission and following what is laid down in the constitution. So I'm hoping that should the JLAC team and the Parliament find that these people were unfit or are not fit to hold office, that the new team, I'm saying if they're found to be unfit, that the new team that comes in would not be what we've seen
with this one,
with this particular team. Okay?
Right.
That Parliament and the panel that we're given that mandate to appoint commissioners will do a proper job. They will be working for Kenyans. They will not be working for any individual.
Sometimes I'm tempted to ask whether...
So they will not be working for any individual.
Yeah.
However, and we know how politics works in this country, because in this country, I don't know about my colleagues, my friends, people get into a public space, not because they want to serve, but they have other ulterior motives. So if anybody has any thoughts of putting in a team that will perpetuate his ideas or goals or whatever it is, it will be most unfortunate. So I'm hoping that if this one has to exit, the one that comes in would be one that is going to serve the people of Kenya. Finally, on that particular matter, I think that a commission like this one should not go beyond one term.
Oh, yeah?
It should handle one election and they go out and you get a fresh team.
Okay.
Because once you have it, you know, given a mandate of now overseeing another election and you have somebody in office, of course I'll do the obvious. Okay. Especially when you're an African.
Yeah, I am interested to do what the obvious then would be.
The obvious is to make sure that I win by hook or crook.
All right, gentlemen, allow us to take a quick short break and then we come back to you, Honorable Makali Mulu, to understand some more on what the obvious then would be and the by-elections that we are staring at shortly.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa
hiyo kitu azungumzie, aangalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions, business, farming, Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates, Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, aangalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions, business, farming, Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heat.
Conversation is still on, gentlemen. The conversation is still on. It's interesting sometimes to sit with politicians because you get to grasp lots and lots of matters, and they're just not politicians, but they're leaders and, you know, governance experts, and that should tell you so much more pertaining to that. The Cherera 4, perhaps a majority of Kenyans, like Honorable Philip Kesia, were a little bit disgruntled by the entire team of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. I doubt there's any time where Kenyans have had the confidence with this very body. And like he says, maybe it should be an year, you know, like handle an election after 5 years, exit. Handle an election after 5 years, exit. But just how much would that be of use in terms of sanitizing the entire process and the by-elections that we are looking forward to?
Yeah, maybe before I comment on the by-elections, Linda, allow me to weigh in on this matter of the 4 petitions. I agree with the Honorable Wanyonyi that it's a constitutional right to push the petition to Parliament, because the Constitution allows every Kenyan to petition Parliament on any matter of national interest. What I have a problem with, and where I would want to raise questions, is the timing and the number. You know, when you look at the way the petitions have been pushed to Parliament, within 2 months after election, you had to remove commissioners, and at the same time, 4 different petitioners pushing on the same matter. So you start wondering whether there could be some hidden hand behind the petitions. But that's a question for another day. The other thing which is also coming out, and which to some is also sending the wrong signals, is the GILAC, which is a committee of Parliament and composed of members of Parliament. We've seen today and yesterday, there's been a lot of issues. They can't even agree at the committee level, which means what Honorable Kesia was talking about, the issue of the committee being independent and being objective in decision making, we might lose that. Because if they are already divided even before, I've seen somewhere where Honorable Junet yesterday in the House was already suggesting that the Azimio side of the JLAC may not be able to attend the meetings to listen to the petition. So you can see from the word go, is already a very divided committee, which means objectivity might be lost in the process of that division. And that's what worries me more, because what will happen is, instead of the 4 getting justice by being listened to, and people objectively processing the issues on the table, politics likely to cloud the issue, and then you find either a wrong decision being made. But if you look at the history of electoral bodies in this country since we started our elections, I think after the Kanu era, where most of the things were being done single-handedly, you realize that all electoral bodies in this country have been having a serious trust deficit, that Kenyans have never trusted them. And I think it's high time as Kenyans we ask ourselves. For example, now if we sack these 4, assuming they will be told go home, unless we are bringing angels from heaven or some other people from outside this country, they will just still go the same way. And that's to some extent, I've said many times, maybe it's high time we seriously as Kenyans started to think about what do we want in an election. Is it that we want people who will be convinced they will champion our interests in terms of winning, or do we want a body whereby after the end of the day we are sure we have the results as the voter intended them to be? Because the challenge is Kenyans always imagine that the kind of results we get at the final tallying is not what the Kenyans have expressed through voting. And that's what we need now to make sure that it's proper address. But all said down, now the challenge we have is 4 are the only remaining ones. The other 3 are retiring by January, which means the 4 are the ones who are remaining. And you know what we had done as a parliament? We had staggered the process so that when these 4 came in, we knew by the time they serve their 6 years, then we'll have another 3 will have come in who will be still in office. So that you don't lose the institutional memory, and we have at least at any point you have 3 or 4 who know what happened with the last election. Now, we know what is likely to happen. If this form by bad luck or by good luck, they go home, depending on which side somebody is talking from, then it means we are going to get another team of 6 who then by law will have to leave at the same time. Because Parliament has now addressed that problem of staggering so that you stagger them that they don't go home at the same time and then you're left with only the secretariat. But now we are likely to go back to that problem. And that's what I'm saying. We seriously need to think about what do we want as Kenyans. Because even if this 4 go, we are going to get other Kenyans who are also from this country who I doubt whether Kenya will still trust. They will go in the 6 years or 4 years, we'll kick them out again after the next election. And my worry is a situation whereby every election, we have a new team managing the election. Because in that case, then you don't have an opportunity to use the lessons learned from the last election to inform the coming election. So there will always that gap, because people come, at times they will come very late, where you find procurement has gone advanced, things are not being done correctly, and then that institutional memory will lose it. So we will be watching to see what is happening. But now, where the animal in the room, the elephant in the room, is now the by-elections. Assuming that we subject these 4 to this petition, and the committee decides, advises Parliament to do away with these 4. And then the other 3 are leaving by January. So who is going to conduct the by-elections? We have by-elections which are taking place in December. There are some which have been scheduled for January. So the question is, even if these 4 are in office, but they have a petition to be removed. So when we go now to the December by-elections, one of which is now the Bungoma one. And the Bungoma one, as you can see, is a very serious by-election, because it is what we call people in the same coalition. Strong, the 40 Kenya ones, and the UDA, already they have their own internal problems. And then you bring DAP K, Honorable Munyinyi, in. So you can see the Bungoma by-election is just not a by-election. It's a serious by-election. And we need a body which can now do the work thoroughly. At that time, Cherela is already defending herself. Cherela and the team are defending themselves in this committee. Chemkari is supposed to be on terminal leave, so that he exits. So you can see we're in a serious, as a country, we're in a serious situation. And I think really, that's why I said the timing of these petitions, I don't think people took time to think through. Because it means then the December by-elections are already shaky, and the January ones will also be now most affected. Because if by chance we say let them go, then I don't see whether the Secretariat by law, maybe the lawyers will advise us, are allowed to conduct elections. I don't think they have that mandate. It will be interesting to watch, and perhaps the committee is also tasked. So we are like to have a constitutional kind of crisis in terms of now who is going to oversee. Unless we say then those who have no elected leaders, you remain that way till you get another commission. I know it's a long process. It takes a lot of time to get commissioners in office. That would be my take on it.
All right, we'll be waiting to see what advice then the chair or the commission, or better yet, JLAC would, advise moving forward, and whether these ones are lucky enough to survive or not. Let's talk Mulembe now that you mentioned Bungoma and Azimio One Kenya Alliance. I know you're not part and parcel of that, but at least you can say something small in relation, first of all, to the Mulembe Nation. A couple of leaders met the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi yesterday. That is in relation to just putting the Mulembe House in order. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, once ANC leader, now not an ANC leader, is calling upon the Mulembe Nation to come together so that they can enjoy and benefit from the fruits of this very government. The way to go?
I think just before I speak on that, allow me to speak on the upcoming by-election.
Yes.
I think my good friend Honorable Makalia is worried about how that election will go. I want to assure him the Bungoma Central seat was a Ford Kenya seat. Mm-hmm. And in Africa,
it is going back there. And you acknowledge how strong the UDA candidate is as well, yeah?
In Africa, you cannot inherit somebody's wife while it's still alive.
It's still alive.
So,
it is as good as done.
I think the question is, we will win with how many votes?
Oh.
It's not whether we'll win. Of course, you are saying the UDA candidate is strong.
Yes.
But Bungoma is our forte as a party. And we will win that seat. And Wamunyenyi, who is on Azimio ticket, I really think he's just escorting our candidate. So
they put up a proper fight. Yesterday I spoke to Honorable Leseli Simiyu, and he's on ground and they're saying it looks rosy, looks promising.
What do you expect Israel to tell you? These are people that we defeated during the coup. The party we defeated on 9th August. So I think really that's almost a done deal.
Yeah.
But we want to now put up the last fight. I think the next 2 weeks before 8th of December. But we are going to win that seat. I think Ford Kenya is going to win
all
seat.
The best.
For a long time, Western and especially Bungoma, we've not been in government. For the first time, I think after around 10 or so years, we are now in government. The Ford Kenya party leader is now the Speaker of the National Assembly, something that has not been easy. And so the people of Bungoma, I'm so sure on that premise, will want to give him the required respect by voting a person of his choice. But of course, these other issues that you raised, I think, what was it?
Yes, about Musalia Mudavadi, calling...
actually, that meeting was not was convened by Musalia Mudavadi himself.
Yes.
He's the one who convened the rest of us. And you remember the last election, it's only Bungoma that voted with the government. Busia, Kakamega, Vihiga, they voted majority with the Azimio side.
What are you telling us? That Honorable Musalia Mudavadi really is...
Okay, to be honest, majority of members of parliament from Vihiga are in Azimio.
Yes.
The governor of Vihiga is in Azimio.
Yeah.
But you see, because we are a government that keeps our word, especially the president, he had, during the campaigns, he promised to have Musalia as a prime cabinet secretary. He kept his word. He made his promise and appointed Musalia as a prime cabinet secretary. But it's only Bungoma, to be honest, that voted overwhelmingly for the government.
Yes.
And so I think we are at a point where, as a nation, the Luhya nation, we're at a point where we must really ask ourselves to whether we want now to seize the moment and unite together to be able to now work with the government and ensure that we are supporting our people who are developing a region or not. And I think I'm happy that most of the members of parliament drawn from the Azimio side who won their seats on the opposition side, and even you've seen Honorable Oparanya also, saying that I think it's time for me to go my way. It's time for me to work with my colleagues to unite our region towards a common cause, common goal. So I think that's a question that is going on, and I'm hoping that in the next few weeks or months, we'll be able to appreciate the need for us to unite behind our two leaders, Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Masika Wetangula, for the good of our people. And of course, you've seen even the agenda of today was about the cracks in Azimio. So the only option that we have is to unite again, unite behind these two leaders of ours in working with the current government, which I'm hoping that Musalia and Moses Masika Wetangula will expedite, so that we don't take more time in the opposition. So expect more to come, and expect more pronouncements from our leaders very soon, especially as we head to this by-election. Musalia's ANC and many MPs from Azimio, very soon they will be supporting our candidate for the Ford Kenya candidate in this by-election.
Do I hear Moses Wetangula speaking and saying that he is, positioning himself as the kingpin of Mulembe Nation from what it is that Mheshimiwa says? Honorable Kesia.
You know, Linda, you're putting me in a very awkward situation.
Because clearly that is what Honorable Wanyonyi is telling us.
I cannot talk at or back at my in-laws. They may take away my wife.
But they will not. Let's say they will not. You need not to worry. On these other sides of Mulembe Nation, there are very many.
They may take away my wife. So I'm constrained to speak on that matter. But talking about the Bungoma by-election, they are my in-laws. They are all my friends. In fact, they are not talking about Fred Kono Bosolo Simiu. He's also vying. So I wish them well. Whoever wins the senatorial seat is one of our own. We shall be happy and we shall embrace them. So I leave that one to my in-laws to decide who their next governor would be after Moses Masika Wetangula. But let me say this, because a brother here who is in Kenya Kwanza administration, but you see, I keep on reminding Kenyans that it is one government. Exactly. We don't have two governments. In fact, if I were anywhere near that government, I would advise them to stop talking about our government. It is a Kenyan government.
Okay.
Because where do you expect 50% of the other Kenyans to go to? It's one government. The elections are over. Let's wait for 2027, unless something happens in between. I keep on saying.
But you know you hail from the Mulembe Nation. You are not going to say anything.
No, listen.
Okay.
The issue of whether the Luhya nation is accommodated in government is protected by the Constitution. So, it's not a favor. It's not a favor, please. The Constitution demands that we must have regional balance, gender balance, and all of us must be part of that government, regardless of whether we voted or we didn't vote or we stayed at home. Okay? So, but I'm happy that one thing that you must give credit to the current president, His Excellency William Ruto, is that I think he keeps his word to a large extent.
Right.
You must give him credit. Right. He has given jobs to the people who have been with him. Some people run away from the people who have been with you because, the people who have been around you can also, expose their nakedness because they know too much about you. But he has shown confidence, he has given them jobs. He has also, to a large extent, accommodated other communities. Not to the extent that the Constitution, prescribes, because you've seen people going to court about whether there's a balance on the appointments or nominations of public secretaries or principal secretaries. So let me say this. What Honorable Musalia Mudavadi has done is the right thing. In fact, some of us expected him to have done this more than 2 months ago. To call the entire leadership of the community, like other communities have done. What is wrong when the Luhya community comes together under one person or whatever, a team, and say, we must now start talking about our interests? There's nothing wrong. Okay, in fact, he was a bit late, but it's better late than never. He has done it. So I would encourage all the people in parliament, those who are not in parliament, those who come from the Mulembe nation to know one thing. And my late father-in-law said, Ovuami Kemiando. Power is equals to wealth. And you can see, when His Excellency Ruto got into power, all the key ministries have gone to one side. All of them.
Okay.
It's a fact.
Right.
I mean, this is not a rumor, it's a fact. You know, all the good ones, yeah? Where there is the juicy ones, the good ones. And then the others.
The lucrative ones.
And then the others,
have been split to the others.
Given to other people, okay? So, it is time also the Mulembe nation try and remember what my father-in-law said, Ovuami Kemiando. Therefore, we must come together as a Mulembe nation. If there are issues within the family, we deal them out of the public domain, but we must work as one. We've seen people from Central Kenya now coalescing around Rigiji, which is okay, because you see, unity begins at a very low level. Family. If you cannot manage a family and you're not united, how can you manage a community? How can you manage a nation? So we start at that level, family, community, and then we have one nation. So I'm happy, Mheshimiwa. So I think I saw you in the picture. Yeah. I think I saw you in the picture. You are there.
He was there.
The other faces I didn't.
In as much as he's acting as though he's distancing himself.
The other faces I didn't see. I don't know why, but I'll be calling them like my friend Honorable Wangwe. I didn't see him there. Was there. Oh, was there? Okay.
Or let's just say the photo did not.
So anyway, but maybe you.
Almost 90%.
Yeah.
Were there.
So I'm happy that has happened, and for the other people. And this one, you know, Linda, me, I normally speak my mind, because you cannot control me from the back room. They have seen people castigating Raila. It's most unfortunate. Some of these fellows are beneficiaries of Raila Amolo Odinga. Beneficiaries. But because they want to survive, they are speaking from their stomachs. They want to survive. You know, they want to show somebody elsewhere that, you know, now I'm also a bull and I can get out of, this homestead and I can form my, let them do it. If you're man enough, and I can tell you for free, all those people we've seen there saying blah, 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 without Raila, they'll not have been in parliament, some of them.
Hold it right there. I'm sure we're going to come and speak of that in length.
Yes.
And you perhaps could be referring to the likes of Edwin Sifuna. But such is politics. You are brought to this step so that you can proceed. Ababu Namwamba will tell you that, well, courtesy of Right Honorable Raila Odinga, he is where he is today. But that does not stop him from growing.
I did not say that you don't grow.
Yes.
But what I'm telling you, Linda...
Do not bite the hand that fed you.
What I'm telling you, where we come from, and my brother-in-law will tell you, there's a saying that goes like this. When you build a permanent house, a permanent meaning iron sheets and brick or stone, and you're moving from a mud house, you don't pee in that one. Because this one can burn. And you're forced to seek refuge in the mud house. So these characters think that they're built some small little nice lovely house, they can start peeing in the mud house.
But is it not factual that enough is enough?
What is enough is enough.
Yes.
When, this politics of deceit and conmanship must stop in this country. We must be able to believe in some ideology. We must be able to stand for something. Most of these people stand for their own survival. When they are talking about we as a community, and then you hear somebody saying, I was not considered for a seat, a position. Are you talking about the community, or are you talking about yourself, your wife, and children, if you have any?
Interesting question. Honorable Makali Mulu, this is going to come to Kambani region, obviously, because we're talking about Azimio 1 Kenya. Again, if there's a place that we should celebrate, if there's a man that we should celebrate today in the country, is then one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, almost according 100% to the Azimio team, like, from Mulembe Nation, Honorable Wanyonyi would boast of the fact that, Ford Kenya sort of delivered Bungoma, a whole chunk chunk, a cool 200,000 votes or thereabout. And so it's just a matter of time before we get to ask this. Just where is the place of Ukambani region in Azimio One Kenya Alliance and in the Kenyan politics, if we were to look at what is happening or bedeviling your brothers or our brothers from Mulembe Nation?
I think what is from this debate, there are one or two things I just want to agree with my colleagues before I get to the issue of the Ukambani region. The issue of community interests, to me, that is critical. That anytime you want to champion community interests, then every leader from that region should actually come behind whoever is championing that in terms of leadership. Because, at the end of the day, Linda, why you see our politics being that aggressive is because in this country, our governance structured in a way that when somebody assumes the leadership, then, as Honorable Kisia said, resources seem to follow that direction more than any other direction. That's why you see the issue of the juicy ministries, the lucrative ones with huge budgets, would always go to people from where the leader comes from. Basically, because as you said politics is equal to wealth.
Wealth, yes.
In your local, power is equal to wealth. Yeah. So I think the idea of people coming together and saying we want to champion interest is good and should be supported. What I would not support is what now the second point raised, where he says some would hide behind that community interest to push their personal interest. And that's very common with the politicians. That you want to appear as if you are championing community interest, but behind you're actually championing your personal interest. Coming to Ukambani, Linda, if you look at the Ukambani region and our politics, all the way from 1963, the Kamba community, anytime they make a decision to go to somewhere, they stick there. We are not pastors who would move from one place to another every time. And until we make that decision to move, when we say move, if it's left, right, we all turn left and we are gone. Now we are in Azimio. And that's why you see, since we started supporting Azimio under the leadership of Raila, that is, we started with the CORD, we came to NASA, now we are in Azimio. We have actually been stuck there. And as you say, always we deliver. That's because normally once we take a position, it will be informed by possibly our interests and the leadership of the region. Like now, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has been our leader for all that time. And it's like we have agreed in principle, if we decide to go this direction, we go that direction as a region, not as individuals. That's why you see, when you would go to other regions like Western and you find, like Wanyonyi was saying, there's a mix. You find there is ODM, there is DAP Kenya, there is Ford Kenya, there is the ANC. As majority of us, you find it's all wiper in our region. And that means as that now we are in Azimio. You've seen people complaining that they didn't get their right share. As we are not saying we got everything we wanted, but we believe we have an internal mechanism of sorting out our issues. You've seen Jubilee, they are going out there complaining in the papers, it's all over the place. But we are saying we can handle that internally up to a level. If we think we've been very unfairly treated, then we can make a decision as a team and say, it's now time we also set our position. But as at now, I don't think we have any issues with Azimio. We are in Azimio. Anytime we meet as a parliamentary group, our party leader is always telling us we are in this to stay. And then when there are issues, we always discuss. For example, the issue of the committees brought some issues. I'm sure Wanyonyi will tell you. And that's why you see there are also some complaints from Western that their expectation in terms of committee leadership, they did not get it. Even as we didn't get, but we were able to get back to the drawing board. You remember the first list which was brought to Parliament? We actually said no to it. And it had to be retrieved so that we go back and discuss. After discussing, there was a give and take. We were able to get one or two, but then we also lost. And we said, for a start, let's see how it goes. But I can tell you, when you analyze all these things, Linda, I think our big brother, ODM, has really given a lot. We must accept they have given. Because they are 83 in number. They're about 83. As combined, Wiper, Jubilee, and all these other small parties, we are not even 50% of them.
All right.
And when you take these leadership positions, you find we have about eight committees which opposition is supposed to chair, or the minority. Out of those 8, they have already given the other groups about 5.
Yeah.
They're only chairing 3. So actually our big brother has really sacrificed. And to me, at times I sit and say, even though we seem like we have a right to some of these things, but I think we must also appreciate that they have also sacrificed. We have very senior members of parliament from ODM who have been served their 3rd term, some are in 4th term, and you see they are not even chairs of committee. Then you come to a committee, which is a senior committee, and you find my friend Onyonyi, who is just first termer, not even in parliament in 2 months, chairing. So imagine you have somebody, the Kulanyikal, seated there, having been in parliament for 3 terms, in the Committee of Health, or another committee, and somebody who just came to parliament is chairing, just by the fact that that slot was given on the party basis. Because what we do is we say, Wiper, you will chair this, Jubilee will chair this, ODM will chair this. So it's for you as a party to go back to your caucus and agree who is going to chair.
Yes.
So when you go to your caucus and you find you're only first timers, but the slot is yours.
Yes.
So you give it to Honorable Kisia without really looking at the experience that. So I'm saying our brothers in the ODM have really, and I'm telling you, they have really sacrificed. Me, I sit down with them and I say, even though we are complaining, I think we also need to be fair to them.
Allow us to take a short break, and then we come back on that very note. We get to understand whether these members of parliament that are complaining are trying to play hypocrite, or it is genuine that perhaps this could have been considered, and what way forward Azimio One Kenya after this break.
You are watching TV 47, the home of... How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
This, I believe, would be the last lapse of this segment in studio. Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, Member of Parliament of Kitui Central, the Member of Parliament of Webuye East, Honorable Martin Wanyonyi, Leadership and Governance Expert, and former Nairobi Town Clerk, Honorable Philip Kisia. That this conversation of, committees and who chairs them and all that, perhaps has been there for quite a long time. But beyond that, perhaps that is just being used as, something that would be used to perhaps just find a justification of exit or exiting Azimio One Kenya to switch to this other side. For the likes of Honorable Edwin Sifuna, who really have grown up, through this space of ODM to this level, to argue that, now it's enough is enough, and on basis of how the committees have been shared across the parties within Azimio la Umoja, and as well the likes of Oparanya, who has exited as second-time governor of Kakamega, and his political life now a little bit in a mix, because then they were not so lucky to garner the leadership as Azimio One Kenya, to argue that now enough is enough. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga should now figure himself out. And you can evidently see that he is not about to retire politically. What does it do to him in terms of his political ambitions? And also these gentlemen that really have also grown up courtesy of him.
I think, of course, the way Honorable Kisia said, even in myself, I was introduced into politics by my good friend Honorable Eugene Amalo. But in 2017, if I could have followed Eugene Amalo, I could have lost that election. So there comes a time when you have to make your own decision in the interest of the times you are serving. So Honorable Paranya, Honorable Sifuna, they are well aware that there's uncertainty in the future of Azimio. This Azimio is already in transition. It's already playing in succession politics, which again, there are two angles within Azimio. There are those who think Raila's time is up. There are those who think Raila needs to stay. There are members of parliament today, without Raila today, they cannot be in the parliament. If today Raila exists politics, there are members of parliament who will be forced to retire with him. And so because of that, they must force Raila to remain in politics for them to survive. But again, there are those majority who think his time is up. So because of that, I think many members within Azimio are now trying to chart their own way so that they can also pursue their own political ambitions. That's why you've seen Oparanya saying the way he said, seeing Sifuna. But of course also, honestly, I've sat with a good number of members of parliament from Azimio who are a bit disappointed with how the committees were shared. Unlike Kenya Kwanza, where this consultation, for us, right from the time when the president won this election, we've had many PG meetings. I doubt whether Azimio, they may not be.
An Azimio member is here. He will tell us whether they've had this meeting. Okay.
But for us,
the way he's looking at you.
We've had many meetings, many consultations around who to be in which committee, who suits where.
But you also agree that there's a member of parliament of Nyeri who also was a little bit, disappointed at how this was done, arguing that as Nyeri, having produced the deputy president, they would have gotten better. So it's not like it's all been accepted.
I think it was a governor, I think. No,
it was the, should it be woman representative? Is it the woman rep?
Yes. Yes. She was given.
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are just few members who sometimes, even if they are given, they don't really, they're not, they think they're supposed to be given more.
Okay.
There are people in life who are never comfortable and with anything. And so, but I think majority of us, for me, where I sit, the way the sharing of committees were done, it was open. I remember members were writing their own interest, and we had a PG where even the deputy president himself chaired that meeting, and members were expressing their own interest in terms of which committee they suit. But again, Mheshimiwa Makali will tell you, the process of sharing committees and filling members in committees is not an event. It's a process, and it's a process that goes in for 5 years. So I'm so sure even those who feel disappointed, who feel uncomfortable in various committees, they'll be sorted in due course. But for me, one thing I'm happy, even, you remember when we were doing our Yala nominations, we voted. We voted to choose who to nominate as Kenya Kwanza. I don't know whether the other side of the coalition, the other side of the political divide voted. But for us, ours was so participatory, ours was so consultative, and that's why, for me, you are seeing the manner with which we are handling our issues. We are attracting many of our friends from this other side. And I'm just wondering in the near future how even we'll accommodate all these members. Because when Sifuna says is fed up now, you can tell me where you go. In Kenya, we only organize around 2 political divides.
Yes.
If you are disappointed with Azimio, then
Kenya Kwanza is the other.
Kenya Kwanza. So you can imagine how where these other members are going. Obviously, they're coming to
Kenya Kwanza.
But I think really for me the biggest issue why we're having all these issues is because of the succession and the transition in Azimio. And I remember when we were in Dar es Salaam with Mheshimiwa Makali, I was telling him, for me where I sit, I wish Baba could just be courageous enough, be bold enough, and stop listening to these members who are clinging on his coat for political survival, and just hang up his boot and hand over the baton to somebody else. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo is there. Oparanya himself is there. The Kina Job today are there. Mheshimiwa Kesia here is also there. I think he's still in Azimio. I don't know whether. So he hands over, and so that now he can be able to address and stop this issue of uncertainty within Azimio. You know, the moment this uncertainty within any institution or any, even our own houses, everybody will scramble for his own survival, and that's what is happening in Azimio.
Okay, and so let's briefly just pick on Mlembe Nation and maybe the likes of Ukambani region, strongholds, those ones that have been considered to be strongholds of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Ukambani is there, the coast is there, which in a way is, we've seen ANC getting in there and perhaps taking a large chunk of it. Equally, UDA did well in terms of that. Is it time that the people of Mlembe then can say enough is enough with support for Right Honorable Raila Odinga? Or perhaps as it is time for him to exit? I mean, we already have a representative from his family. Yeah, if it's going to be a family affair, then it is almost a win installation, or a win for him by installing Winnie.
But I think even the way this election, the results of the last election, for me in terms of Western, was the results were indicative enough that Mlembe Nation is somehow shifting. Though we did not perform as we thought as Kenya Kwanza within the Mlembe Nation, but somehow there's some level of improvement in terms of shifting from Raila Odinga. Kakamega County, we had, I think, around 2 to 3 members of parliament in Kenya Kwanza. We plus the senator. In Viga, somehow we had a good number of members of parliament, though minority in Kenya Kwanza, something that has not been there before. There is only Mary Emase in Busia. I think there's another member of parliament who won as an independent candidate. So for me, already this election demonstrates some signs of shifting. And if you see the kingpins of the likes of Musalia and Oparanya, and even there are members of parliament today. You saw Honorable Wangwe a week ago. He was in State House. So there's already indication that we are now moving away from Raila Odinga. And I want to tell you, with the meetings that we are having, with the consultation and convention that we are having, it's just a matter of time. Because now, Linda, ask yourself, in the next election, if today former Prime Minister runs in the next election, what is the chances? Does he even have a chance of winning that election, or even performing better than he performed in the last election?
Good question. Honorable Kesia.
My brother-in-law has spoken.
I did not want to dispute what you have said.
I'll withdraw a daughter.
But the question as to whether there's a shift or not is a matter of debate. Because politics in this country is not driven by ideology. It's driven by personalities.
Exactly.
Okay? And especially after the multi-party elections we had, I think we started seeing a shift from 1992. Because after then we only had, is it 1992? Yeah. We only had a single party. So I would have agreed with my brother-in-law if it was about ideology. Saying now people are shifting from being Democrats to Republicans. They believe in a certain ideology. Okay? But in this country, it's about survival. And he is not talking, it's about the stomach. Where am I likely to be re-elected?
Right.
Yes. So it's not about anything else. It's a job. In this country, politics is a job, which is well paying. Okay, it's not about anything. It's not about serving anybody. maybe
and my
brother-in-law here. But it's about just survive as a job. It's not about servant leadership. So as to whether there's a shift or not is a matter of debate. It's a debate for another day. What I'm against is this issue of entitlement. That we supported so and so, now is our time. Power is never given. You grab power. If you see the way Mheshimiwa, His Excellency Ruto worked hard to get where he is. He worked hard. Give it to him. Okay? Now, these fellows who are sitting in a corner saying, I've been supporting you, yet you know you got that seat courtesy of the person you're saying you'll be supporting. In any event, you are the one who should be grateful to that person for having given an opportunity. Minus that person, you've probably been entrenched somewhere, being very irrelevant. You are not even known before that person gave you that opportunity. So, as to whether Honorable Raila should retire or not is a personal decision that he can make. But those of you who have done some marketing management, you know there's something called a PLC, product life cycle. In my view, Honorable Raila is at the peak. And yes, it's a peak.
Okay.
He can't go beyond that one. The only thing that can happen is for him to come down. The decision is his. He needs to carry out an honest audit and say, okay, fine, I'm a statesman. I'm beyond Kenya. I'm respected worldwide. And that's why you see him being invited. He's not a head of state, but he's being invited all over. And again, age, some people may argue age is just a number because Biden is going for a second term and he's already 80. Another 2 years, he'll be 82. So as whether Raila should, he needs to carry out an honest audit of himself, look at the future, and make that determination.
Okay.
But those who are hanging on his courts, expecting that they'll reap where they have not worked, I feel sorry for them, because even some of us are ready to take over those spaces. And we're going to fight for that space.
Right.
We'll take over. So if they are waiting to be given, pole sana, nothing's going to come for free. Fight for it, or you not get it.
And so it's in order for this one to say that it's time.
Just crying like a cry baby in a corner somewhere, say, I've been supporting you, and you know you got that seat courtesy of the person you're trying to undermine.
It's neither
it's being stupid, for lack of a better word. So, if I was advising Raila, and he's a friend of mine, we talk once in a while, I mean, if there's someone who should cry, it's Philip Kisia.
Right.
Because I was punished in 2013. I should have been given the ticket for governor. I was punished. You saw what happened again in Westlands. I was punished. But am I crying? No. I'm saying I'll leave to fight for another day.
Right.
So let them stop crying. Let them start working hard. They have an opportunity to serve. Let them do a job, and let their actions and the results speak for themselves, so that they are given another chance in 2027. But if they think that power is going to be given,
they will be surprised.
Power is never given. You take it. Let them learn from Honorable Ruto. Yeah, if they just are waiting to be given, pole sana, you will not be given. And Raila in fact, this Raila may not be there. You will even suffer more. We'll take to the trenches.
There's nothing to ride on.
We'll take to the trenches.
When you speak of Right Honorable Raila Odinga and the fact that he's been overtaken by time or the activities or the events, I'm sure that must be music to the ears of one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Just what is the plan for this man who said no to working with government, who apparently is one of the key principles of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, and one who stands a better chance to hold or to be the flag bearer in the event that this coalition holds up until 2027?
Linda, before I come to that, let me comment on the issue of the committees.
Yeah.
Then I'll come to the issue of Kalonzo. You know, what happens in Parliament, if you take the minority side, you only chair 8 committees. If you take the majority side, you chair the rest of the committee. We have 44 committees. That means 36 committees are chaired by the majority side. On that note, you can just see that you would have as much pressure in terms of demand to be a chair from the Kenya Kwanza side as compared to Azimio side. And that's why you saw the issue of who is the majority and the minority was a very contentious issue in Parliament. Because that decision alone delivers one side a lot of benefits. All said and done, that's what you saw in Kenya Kwanza. If you went through the list, you even find first-timers actually chairing committees now. So what I'm saying is we did consult as a Azimio coalition in terms of which committees do we have and who can chair the committees. And you realize pressure was only in terms of leadership of the committees, not membership. Because membership, every member of our parliament is entitled to a committee. But when it comes now who leads a committee, that's where the problem is, because we have very many senior members of parliament, the ranking members, second-termers, third-termers, on Azimio side, who could not chair committees just by the fact that we have only 8. And they must be chaired among the coalition partners. But I can tell you, the leaders did their best. There's no way you would have done it and there was no complaint. If you did and there was no complaint, there was a problem. But now, the objective was just to minimize the complaint so that people would feel we have been accommodated, even though not 100%. Now, on the issue of Kalonzo, I like what Honorable Kisi is saying. Power is taken, it's not handed over to an individual. And Kalonzo has been a key principle in Azimio coalition. Honorable Raila is there, who has been our leader for the last 3 elections. And I think as Honorable Kisi is saying, Kalonzo, from where he sits, is also an ambitious politician. So we are not saying that he starts undermining Raila. Normally, the African culture is that when your father is still alive, you don't think about taking the leadership of the family when the father is alive. Till he might say one day that my son now, I think I'm very incapable, take over if he says. If he doesn't say, then you just wait for death to do what is required, and then you take over. But now, what is happening now in terms of power matters, and this now I think we have a governance expert here. I think Kalonzo, from where he sits, is the rightful person to take over. And this is informed by the last elections. You saw what our sister and good friend, and we respect her very much, Mother Karua, did in terms of delivering to the coalition. So automatically, if anybody was to assume leadership of that coalition, then Kalonzo, I think, stands a better chance in terms of, from a political analysis.
Okay.
Because he has a bloc behind him, he has a lot of members of parliament from his party. So automatically he will be the person to take over. But what we are saying is, being an ambitious politician, and who would want, and I think Kalonzo has what it takes to lead this country. What is required is now for him to just to get out there, just like Ruto did, because Raila is no longer the president of this country, he's lost the election. Get out there, interact with the Kenyans, convince Kenyans that he can also get votes like the way Raila has been doing it. Come 2027, after what Honorable Kisia says, honest audit of his own life, maybe once he does honest audit of his own life, Honorable Raila might decide that I'm not contesting, and then whoever will have gone out there to grab the seat will be will emerge the leader, because you'll have started early enough, you'll have reached out to Kenyans. Because one thing I like about what Ruto did, and that's why actually, as Honorable Kisia says, Ruto really was determined to get this seat. He went out there, despite all the roadblocks placed by the former president, to tell Kenyans, I need this seat. And that's the way to go. In politics, you go out there and look for position. And even some of us who are in political parties, even as we rely on the party support, you must also go out there. I can tell you, leader, I get very surprised when I see members of parliament. You are in parliament and you say you want to work with the government. Because you're already in government. So the thing is, when you're a member of parliament, this idea like if you work with the executive, you get... It's just, we are all members of parliament. At the end of the day, I've never been in government. I'm on my 3rd term. I've been elected on my individual capacity performance, and I'm depending on what I promise my people. And then the party also comes on board because we also have a party. But you find that you must also work as an individual to convince your people that you have worked. And that's why you see at times people talk about CDF. CDF is a fund which is patronized by the member of parliament. But all said and done, there are those, CDF is for every member of parliament. There are those who would get out of office because of not doing well in CDF in terms of patronizing, meaning that you provide oversight. Because if things are not done right, even though you are not the one who does them on day-to-day basis, you still to be blamed. Because people expect that since you are the patron, then you should be able to oversight and make things are done correctly. So basically the thing is, when you are elected as a member of parliament, your people have given you that trust to be their member. Just work hard from where you sit. We all sit in committees. Wanyoni will tell you he's sitting in some committees. I sit in committee. So we oversight the government, the executive, basically. And that means if you do your work effectively, people will always see you are doing your work and will basically support you. So this idea, I want to go to the executive so that I get waivers I'm telling you, they will be surprised. 5 years, it will end when they are still saying we want to work with the government. And from there, they will be sent on by the voters.
Wow.
But development, we are all taxpayers in this country. By the way, the budget is, the parliament is the budget making body. So it is the work of the parliament to ensure that when budget comes to parliament, there is equitable distribution of resources in this country. And that's why you see some funds which are sharing resources without political affiliation, we support them. Because like CDF would give money to anybody, whether you're in opposition or not in opposition. GAF, which is for women reps, will provide money to anybody. Issue of this money which goes to the counties, will go to any county, whether you are in government or not in government. And that's what we are saying, that the resource, since we are all taxpayers, it is time resources were shared equitably, so that the only thing which goes to, the only additional which might go to a place because of the political alignment in terms of executive is where you have the ministers, because they will also have their small, you know, when you are allocating money to the top ministry, you can't miss one or two which minister might influence, because it's the initiator of the budget. So, but basically, it is the work of parliament. Let's parliamentarians sit where we sit and say, we have looked at this budget, it is skewed in terms of distribution of resources, so that when the Western region goes to the president, they don't start talking about roads that have not been sent to Western. They say, we have looked at your budget, and from the look of this budget, it is skewed. All the roads are going to this region. Western, we have only one road. On the basis of that, we will say no to your budget. Then in that case, you can negotiate and say, push 3 to our side, then we allow you 4 on your side. Basically, if you do that way as members of parliament, because we oversight the executive. So we are only, to some extent, not doing our work as expected in the constitution. If we did our work the way it is expected, and we did proper oversight, without people saying, this is a government budget, we must support it, then, you know, when it comes, you say, we are Azimio, like now, and you say, we are Azimio, we are the majority, this government budget, at that time, nobody has analyzed the budget to look at, how many, in terms of distribution of resources. If we are doing 1,000 balls, where are they going to this country? Because if we did that, you find 400 are going to this region, another 400, then 200 are going to the rest of Kenya. You say, no, let's share them equitably. Since you are the president, we allow you 400. The other 600, let them be shared in the country.
Well put.
In that case, we have what it needs to be done. But this idea of I'm in government, I've never been in government.
We're all entitled, as Honorable Kisia said.
So when you relax, relax.
We have just begun. Thank you so much.
No, this idea calling people to come to government. These are members of parliament. Let them serve.
You know, time is extremely out of our side, and so allow us to close it at this very point. I think noble submissions right there. It has to be 30 seconds if you have to say something.
Well,
or less.
Less.
Yes.
I just want to wish a friend, sister, mother, Catherine Kasavuli,
well,
speedy recovery.
Oh, she's still in hospital.
Speedy recovery. And if you see members of parliament from Western Kenya and those who are about in the media industry, please tell them that she needs help.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. I think that's a noble point to close
She's
this
a
one
Kenyan.
at.
All Kenyans should help.
Yeah.
She served us.
She did. She did. And I mean, even at this point, she's been doing it. And we appreciate that even as the media fraternity. Honorable Philip Kisia, leadership and governance expert, Asante sana for talking to us, and also for that noble call, as well as Honorable Martin Wanyonyi, Member of Parliament, Webuye East. I will tell you what he has said, that to go Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for creating time. And lastly, Member of Parliament of Kitui Central, Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu. We close it at that, not in totality. Shortly, we get into the world of construction. Don't you go anywhere. Thank you.
You are watching TV 47, of untold stories. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you?